Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to have you guys here today. We have some fun things that we are going to get into. Today's episode is going to be a fun one because tomorrow, October 25th, is Of the West's third birthday. So 3 years ago, October 25th, 2020, is when I officially made Of the West a legal official business. It was a couple weeks before we announced the platform. So we recognize the 25th as our birthday. And in honor of our birthday, we have something so exciting and something very fun and brand new coming, which is a brand new website and brand refresh. And I am so excited for you guys to see it. It is something that we have worked tirelessly on for the last few months. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about why that is and what you guys can expect from that new site. And then in honor of birthday number 3, I'm going to give you the 3 biggest lessons that I have learned in business. And let me be the first to tell you, I have learned a whole lot more than 3 lessons. But these are the 3 things that are most relatable for everybody, regardless of where you are at in your life or your career or your endeavors. So I'm excited to get into those. But first, let's dig into why we're launching a brand new site. This is one of those things that we've been working on tirelessly for a number of months because we have outgrown our current site. The traffic that we have now has far exceeded what our current platform is able to do. And I don't want to get too in depth on the technical side of things because, to be very honest, I'm not the most technical person. But what I can tell you is when you build a site through like WordPress or Squarespace, you're kind of limited with the plugins that go along with those sites. And so how we built our site originally is on WordPress, and we have used a variety of different plugins, but those plugins also kind of have their limitations. So they don't always speak the same language with one another. So we have what we call like Frankensteined our site together to where it can work and function, but there's a whole lot more from day one that we knew we wanted, whether that is functionality for employers or job seekers or other sides of the business. And so I am really excited that now with this custom built site that we have been working on over the last few months, that we are going to be able to bring all of those features and wishes into one place. A lot of them you will find in the initial site rollout, and some of those will come in the coming weeks and months as we continue that rollout. So let's start for those of you who are job seekers and you're using Of the West. You will have to create a new account on our new site. It is not going to take you much time, probably 45 seconds tops, but it is absolutely worth it because one of the new features that you're going to be able to have access to is the ability to upload multiple resumes into your dashboard and publish those to the resume database or just store those in your dashboard so that you can then apply for numerous jobs with those. One of the challenges that we had with our old site is you could only have 1 resume in the database at a time. So you'll be able to have up to 3, which is going to be exciting. We also have even better job alerts, which is so key because if you have ever searched for a job, you know that you spend the majority of your time on job sites because you're terrified that you're going to miss the perfect opportunity. But with those job alerts, you type in the parameters of the job that you're looking for. You can type in the city and the state that you want your job to be in. You can type in the company that you want to work for. And anytime a position is posted on Of the West that meets your parameters, you'll get an email notification. So we have really beefed those up to where they are bigger and better than they ever have been before, which I am so thrilled about because I know how life-changing those little key features are for you guys. The site itself is going to be much easier to navigate. You are going to have better search function. If you are looking specifically for ranch jobs, we will be able to take you to a page that shows only ranch jobs. If you are looking for internships, you will be taken to a page that shows only internships. I am so stoked for what is in store for those of you on the job seeker side of things. So that is what's going to be in that initial offering. We're also in the process of building out some additional features and opportunities for you guys that aren't necessarily available in that launch, but they will be very, very soon. So like I said, in the coming weeks and months, we're going to unveil more things, which are really going to move the needle ahead for those of you who are looking for new opportunities. For those of you on the employer side of things, we have some big features coming. The first is we are going to have the ability for multiple team members to access one company account, which is something that we have not had before. So it will be more similar to like a Facebook page where you are able to grant different permissions and access to different hiring managers and people on your team. So that is something that will be really, really wonderful for those of you who work in mid to large size businesses where you have multiple people in departments and you need to get those applications to somebody other than yourself. The checkout process has also been streamlined, which I am so thrilled about because I know that the process of posting a single job, checking out with that, then having to go through that process was kind of cumbersome. So I'm excited that you guys will be able to post multiple jobs and check out one time with those multiple jobs. I know everybody in an accounting department that is music to their ears because they don't have to record multiple transactions. So that is going to be such a good new feature for us. The other thing I mentioned earlier is the resume database has some upgrades on the job seeker side, but that also means that for those of you who are employers, it's gotten a lot better for you too. So the resume database, if that is not a feature that you are using when you have a job on the site now, you absolutely need to be, because that is where those golden nuggets of resumes are. And if you're an employer who's wondering, well, how can I access the resume database? You have to have an active job on the site, which active jobs have always sat on the site for 30 days, and that is now moving to 45 days. So if you purchase a job on Of the West, it will be live on our site for 45 days. That is a new feature, which we are so excited to unveil. The reason that is because right now in America, it takes on average 44 days to get the right applicant to apply for your job. So with those 30-day listings, that doesn't sit right with us. So that 44 days, if that's industry standard, then we felt like we needed to extend the period that a job was on our site to fit those. So that is one thing that's coming as well with this launch is there are no more 30-day listings. They are 45-day listings. Okay, there's one other addition to the site that I want to talk about. Whether you are a job seeker or an employer, you're going to love this. You're also going to love this if you are a freelancer of any kind, or if you are what we would consider to be a contractor. So you maybe have a marketing firm and you're not necessarily looking for a job, but you're consistently looking for new clients. So back in 2021, when we launched, Of the West also had a portion of the site called the Trades of the West, which is where agencies, freelancers, and those who are self-employed could list themselves or their business to find new clients. But when we launched that, the functionality of that directory didn't work the way that I really wanted it to. And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier with different plugins and how they speak different languages. And sometimes they don't talk to one another at all. And that's what happened on that side of the site. So if it didn't work the way that I thought that it needed to, and people weren't able to search it the way that I thought that they should be, then I didn't feel good charging people for that service. So we took that side of the site down, but we have been in a rebuilding phase of that. So now that we have a brand new site, we get to build exactly what we want. So that will be a directory where if you are a photographer, a videographer, a web designer, a graphic designer, a copywriter, a journalist, an event speaker, anything in the creative space, this is the side of the site that's really built for you to where you can find new clientele without actually applying for a job, if that makes sense. I know that this is going to be a game changer because I consistently see all across social media, or I get texts or emails about, hey, I'm looking for a web designer. Do you know of anybody? Or, hey, I'm looking for a copywriter. Do you happen to have anybody that you would recommend? And again, kind of like the original vision of the West, right? I know people at the time, but maybe they're not taking on projects, or I think I know somebody, but their name has slipped my mind. So this is going to be that one-stop shop where if you are looking for anybody in the creative space, that you can go find them in this directory. It's going to have the best search function known to man. I'm going to pride ourselves on that because that is what was wrong with that first iteration of our Trades of the West. It's also coming back with a fun little rebrand that I will share when we officially launch that portion of the site. But I typically don't share things before they come to fruition, but this is one of those things that I am so excited about. And I know it's going to be such a game-changing thing for our industry that I'm willing to put it out into the universe that section of the West is coming very, very soon. We have been working so hard on it. And I know for those of you who are either looking for those types of people, or if you are one of those people, you guys are going to love that section of the site. So that's all the of the West talk that I have for you guys. But now I want to get into the 3 business lessons that I have learned in the last 3 years in the journey of the West. And I say that they're business lessons, but let's be honest, they are not just business lessons. And that's actually why I wanted to talk about these 3, because as I mentioned earlier, holy cow, have I learned a lot more than 3 lessons in the last 3 years. But these are the 3 things that I feel like, regardless of where you are in your life, that you can relate to. And they may be the thing that you need to hear. So the first one is surround yourself with the right people. This is something regardless of whether you are trying to build a business, if you are learning a new hobby, if you are going through your career journey, if you are a new mom, whatever it may be, it is so important to surround yourself with the right people. If you are specifically thinking of launching a new business, I can tell you that this is something that is not only helpful in the beginning as you're building whatever it is, but it's also increasingly important as the years go on. And this is also very important for all aspects of your life, not one specific thing. So in my opinion, you need 2 types of people. You need those who support you and are there for you at all costs. And you need those who are going to push you to be a better, stronger, wiser version of yourself. Now, these 2 groups of people aren't always the same people, but you need to have both of them for the right equation. So let's talk about the people who support you and are there for you at all costs. These are the people who are there when you need a push, when you need a friend to lean on, when you are crying and you need that box of Kleenex. They don't have to be people who are good at business or who are good at their job or who are good at whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. They can know absolutely nothing about what you're doing and still fit this need because they are the person who shows up at your doorstep with a bottle of champagne when it's time to celebrate, and they are right back on your doorstep when it is time to pull you out of your funk or cheer you up when you need it most. And I will be the first to tell you that if they are only on your doorstep when it's time to pop the champagne and they never knock on the door when it's time to show up with the box of Kleenex, you probably need to assess that and get the right person or the right people in that gap. But these type of people really are important to have in your corner, though, because those are the ones that are going to help you continue when things get hard, and they're there to celebrate with you when things get good. And they don't necessarily need to see you at your best. They are absolutely willing to see you at your worst, and we all need to be surrounded by those. You know, I get a lot of questions about, well, what happens if my spouse isn't supportive? And that is a question that I'm absolutely not cut out to answer because my husband is the most supportive person in the world. He is one of these people for me. He is there with the champagne. He is there with the Kleenexes and everything in between. And I am so lucky to have him in that. And I know how challenging it is for those of you who maybe don't feel like you have that. So while I do not have the answer for you, I just want to let you know that I recognize you. And I know that that is a very difficult place to be in. And while I don't necessarily think I'm the best person to help you or give you advice in that because I've never walked that walk, I see it. And I'm here for you and I feel for you. But that being said, I think that there are a lot of other people that you can really focus on surrounding yourself with in those moments. So the other one that I had talked about was the group of people who are going to push you to be a better, stronger, and wiser version of yourself. These are the experts. There's probably no champagne or Kleenex here, but they are going to pour into you when it comes to knowledge, advice, and connections so that you can continue to grow and become better. So sometimes these people are in your inner circle and other times they have no idea that you exist. And I think that both types of people are absolutely vital. So let's talk about those in your inner circle. This is your network, which you should be growing and curating and connecting with and serving at all times. And this is not a one-way street. You absolutely have to give back in to this group just as much as you take from this group. So one thing that I want to talk about on this is all experts are not created equal. Just because somebody knows a lot about one subject does not mean they know everything about everything. And you need to appropriately put them in the buckets that you're looking to fill. So for instance, if you need somebody to help you with a specific aspect of your business, you can absolutely count on me. Put me in that bucket. But if you're also needing somebody who's going to help you stay committed in the gym and you're looking to me for inspiration, I am not the best person for that bucket. I'm just going to make the bucket heavy and weigh it down because I'm not committed to going to the gym. So I'm not going to be the best person to be in that bucket. I am not going to help you in the way that you need me to help you. That realization of being able to put different people in different buckets and only expect certain things from them and know that I'm getting from them what I need to get from them was a really, really big realization for me. One of the other things when it comes to surrounding yourself with the right people, I know a lot of us live in rural areas, so we don't get to physically surround ourselves with the type of people that really grow us and push us and that we want to be around. But I'm going to give you a really easy method on how you can regularly surround yourself with the right people, filling not only your needs, but their needs too, which again, going back to the idea of you can't just take from these people, you also have to give to them. So earlier this summer, 2 other business owners and I got together and we created a monthly meeting that we're committed to. Each month we meet via Zoom for 1 hour and one person is the focus of that month's call. If they need to bounce ideas off of us, if they're looking for a better process for something, whatever it may be, the whole hour we dedicate to that one person. And because of how business and idea sharing works, the 2 who aren't that month's focus still end up learning something from the call. And then the next month, someone else becomes the focus. So we call this our brand storm, and our October brand storm is actually here in about 40 minutes. So I've got to push through this podcast. But 2 things about this that I think are worth mentioning if you want to start your own brand storm. You don't all have to be from the same industry. So I'm in the tech startup space. One of the other women in the group is a retailer. The way that the 2 of us do things is absolutely different, but because of that, we each have a really unique perspective that we are able to share. And that perspective allows us to think differently about our problems, which is what our goal is, right? We are kind of in a funk of some kind, and we want a change of scenery, a change of perspective to help open our eyes to new ideas, new possibilities. The other important thing worth noting is that we are committed. We do not cancel on one another. We might have to move dates or times, but we always, always, always show up for one another. And that is absolutely vital because if somebody starts ditching class, we're all going to put less effort into what we're doing and we are not going to fill anybody's cup and it is going to end just as quickly as it started. So that's a really good way for those of you who are wanting to connect with new people but are unsure of the best method, especially because you want that somewhat in-person connection. Zoom is free and it is a great avenue for that. Real quick, let's talk about that other group of people that I mentioned. And these are people who are not in your inner circle. They have absolutely no idea that you exist, but they are just as important. And these are people who are big time experts. They don't know you, but the information that they have is very valuable and you absolutely should take the time and effort to access it. These are the Jenna Kutchers or the Grant Cardones of the world. And I can guarantee you that whatever it is that you are doing, building, growing, wanting to achieve or adopt, there is somebody out there who has a podcast that you can listen to or a website where you can access free information from that is giving you that knowledge and experience that you're looking for. These people, you're going to have to put them in different buckets, just like those earlier experts that I mentioned, based on what you need most and what you are looking to fill. All in all, when it comes to surrounding yourself with the right people, you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. That is a very powerful quote. You can't change people, but you can change who you surround yourself with. That power is within you, and it is going to be one of the things that moves the needle forward most for you. A few other things that I want to mention in this is people who are always negative are not the right people. People who are always looking out for what they can get are not the right people. People who talk about others as soon as that person has left the room are not the right people. And if you want supportive people in your life, then you need to walk the walk and be supportive right back. This is not a situation where you take and take and take. You have to give just as much, if not even more, to get what you need in return. The other thing I will say about surrounding yourself with supportive people and those who push you to think bigger is stop seeking support from people who will never give it to you. This may be one of the biggest and hardest lessons that I have learned, but at the same time, this realization has really given me a lot of relief and a lot of reward personally over the years, because I have realized there are people out there who you really want them to care and you want them to be a cheerleader for you, and they're just not going to do it. And every time that you expect them to, they don't. And it hurts. And you can't change them, but you can change your expectation. And if you change your expectation, you will allow yourself to stop getting hurt because you have stopped looking for something that you're not going to get. You guys, I know that this is hard, and this is something that I have had to deal with in my own life as well. And that's why I have that group number one, those really supportive people who are there for me and who cheer me on no matter what. And I also know that I am confident enough in myself and I'm proud enough of myself and what I do and what I put out into the world that I don't need to look for validation from somebody else, especially somebody who isn't going to support me. So I know that that is something, like I said earlier, it's difficult and it's hard, but if you are able to do that, it is the realization that's going to give you a lot of relief in life and really set you up for success. Okay, lesson number 2 that I have learned in business is don't wait until it's perfect. If you wait until something is perfect, it will never happen. If it is a business, you will never launch. If you are waiting until you get perfect before you go enter, you will never enter. Whatever it is that you want to go do, you'll never do it. You cannot wait until it's perfect. Our website is actually evidence of this, right? If we waited to launch until we could build this big, beautiful spaceship that could take us to the moon, we still wouldn't be off the ground, right? We launched the first version of the West 2 years ago. We knew that it wasn't perfect, but we knew that it would suffice. It got us to where we can now launch with something bigger and better that's going to help continue to grow us more. So here we are off the ground, we're taking on altitude, and we are headed to higher destinations, building it as we go. I will be the first to say that this can almost feel like it contradicts the advice that we always hear, which is don't half-ass it, right? If you're going to stamp your brand on something, it needs to be good. But I think that we have to flip the way we look at it. And that is, if you're going to do something or launch something, you need to have pure intentions, a solid product, and the awareness to know that it will grow as you grow. We've all heard the terms starter home and forever home. Your very first product that you launch with, or the very first time you back into the box, that's not your forever home. That's your starter home. If you are right out of college and you're setting out into the world and you went to build your forever home, you wouldn't just go live on the street and sink yourself into a money pit that you couldn't afford. You would begin with your starter home. It has a roof. It has walls. It has everything you need in a home. Is it perfect? Probably not. Can you do everything in it that you need to in a home? Can you host holidays and bring new babies and start your life in this home? Absolutely. Then, as you grow, your needs grow. As you realize, I don't like the functionality of this, or man, I wish we could do this. You sell your starter home and you move into something new. You hopefully make some money on that along the way so that you can invest into the upgrade, and you continue that pattern until you either find your forever home or you build your forever home. That makes so much sense when we think about starter home versus forever home. But for some reason, when it comes to our businesses or our hobbies or whatever it is that we want to do in the world, we think that we have to wait until it's perfect. And the reality is that nothing is ever perfect, and you have to be willing to learn from what's not perfect. I cannot tell you how many businesses have launched with something. They have realized that they actually didn't recognize the real need that they wanted to serve, and they've changed their product to serve that industry or that audience. That awareness that you and your business or your hobby are going to grow as you continue to get experience and you gain knowledge, that is something that is absolutely crucial. The business, the endeavor, the hobby, whatever it may be that's on your mind, you've got to stop obsessing over the details because it doesn't need to be perfect. You need to prove it, and then you can perfect it. Okay, the last lesson that I have for you guys that I have learned of my 3 lessons that I've learned in the 3 years of the West is be willing to embrace failures. Nobody likes to fail. but you can't worry about failing because it happens to all of us. Nobody has an undefeated season for life. When football players suit up for the game, both sides come out with the intention to win. Only one team wins. And I have never, ever in my life seen the losing team refuse to suit up the next game because they're afraid of failing. They suit up, they get on the field, and they might lose again. And they do it again until they get a win. And each time they fail, they use it as a learning opportunity. It is so easy to understand when you think about that analogy, but why are we all so afraid of failure? We learn from failure. We get experience from failure. We have our biggest realizations from failure. So why is it such a bad thing? You have got to suit up and step out onto the field of life and really put your heart into it. The results, they are what they are. If you win, that is great. And if you lose, you're going to have learned something and it will propel you forward for the next time that you suit up and step out. Failures are bound to happen. They're bound to happen for all of us, right? I mean, earlier today, I talked about the trade side of our site, how we launched with that. And then about 6 months into it, I realized, this isn't working the way that I want it to. I don't feel good about it. So we're going to take it down. I could have said, yeah, that was a failure, but we also learned a lot from that we have now taken all of that knowledge and we've put all of that into this brand new iteration that we're going to launch with. That absolutely wasn't a failure by any means, but it would be really easy for me to look at it that way. But instead, I take it as knowledge and experience and all of the things that have propelled me to where we are. I am somebody who absolutely does not like to fail. But two things that really help me with failure. Failures are absolutely bound to happen, and they prove that you're trying new things and you're moving the needle forward, even when it feels like you're not. The other thing that I will say about failure, because let's be honest, nobody likes failure. I don't like failure, but you can't be afraid of failing. Be afraid of not finding a solution. Be afraid of not solving the problem. That is something much bigger and better to fear because that's going to be the thing that pushes you into action. And one of the things that is most common with the fear of failure is that is a paralysis. And you cannot have that if you want to continue to move forward. So when it comes to things that might scare me, instead of thinking, man, I'm afraid of failing, I think I am afraid of not finding the solution because that is the thing that's going to kick me into gear and push me into action to find a solution to whatever it is that my problem might be. And whether it is a guest that you have already heard on this podcast or one that I have recorded that you will hear in the near future, the willingness to accept failure and be somebody who takes risk is an ever-present theme in almost every single episode that we have recorded to date. So I think that says a lot about the idea that we really do need to be willing to take risks and not stop our progress based on the fear of things not working out. Because at the end of the day, they always have a way of working out, whether it's the way that we thought they would or the way that they're actually meant to. So those are the three biggest lessons that I have learned thus far. The importance of surrounding yourself with the right people, the importance of somebody who is willing to prove themselves, then perfect it, and being somebody who is willing to embrace the failures. So I hope that you guys were able to take something away from today's episode. I am so excited for you guys to see the brand new site and the brand new brand refresh for Of the West. I am so excited to have you guys here on this journey, and I cannot wait to see where the next 3 years and the next 10 years and the next 30 years take Of the West and the future of the ag and Western industries. I so value each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to Leaders of the West. Every time you guys tag us in your stories or share us with your friends or send us an email or a message, whatever it may be, it really makes an impact. We notice it. We read every single review. We read every single email, comment, whatever it may be. And we appreciate you. We are thankful for the efforts that you put into our industries. And we are so happy to have you here. So with that, I will catch you back here next week.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.